Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Cleopatra here. As always, I am with the amazing Dr. Rowe, and we have a very, very special guest today. We have Jen Gottlieb of Super Connector Media. Dr. Rowe, can you please do justice to this woman's introduction for us?
Well, I'm not going to do justice to this timeless lady and dear friend. And I'm so excited that she's here because she is an expert in many things, but she really is a motivational and mindset expert. And I just think this is something that women need more of their life. And hopefully we're going to dive deep into that. But she's the co-founder and chief mindset officer of Super Connector Media, which, everybody knows is the PR agency. And she has a plethora of experience in health and wellness, coaching. She was a big health and wellness expert in that space, and she spent 14 seasons. I can't even believe that, Jen. Co-hosting VH1. She's been on a national Broadway tour, and she's also led Super Connector Media holds this super fun and hard to describe and powerful and lots of networking event called Unfair Advantage Live. And it's the world's premier publicity event, and it connects entrepreneurs to the media so that they can really amplify their message, which is what, I've been doing. And she works with entrepreneurs about, helping them with their mindset. That's one of the big things as part of the Super Connector Media. That's her role. And she really helped people, 6, 7, 8-figure people enhance their business, which is pretty amazing. And she lives in New York City with her life and business partner and former guest on the Parent Coffee Talk, Chris Winfield, and their 3 dogs. And welcome.
That's a beautiful intro, Dr. Rowe. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Tell everyone, everyone should have one of their best friends or good friends read their bio.
I agree.
Because it really is such a beautiful reminder, especially coming from someone that really knows you well, and like the little intricacies that you put in, Dr. Rowe, to like make me feel special. I think that that's a cool practice that we should all do for each other.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better.
And wait, I left something out. One of my favorite things about Jen is she is like a hell yes. So when you make a declaration, so I made a declaration, I'm changing the way we view and treat children's mental health. And I'm like, I'm going to be on this media outlet, and I'm going to be like this. Jen Gottlieb is like, it's already happened, Roseanne. It's happening. Hell yes. And we all need more hell yes women in our life. How about that?
100%.
Goosebumps everywhere. Honestly, it is what you say it is. And we need to remember that. The words that come out of our mouth are the most important things in the entire world. Because if you say something is hard and it sucks, then you make it so. Then it is hard and it is sucks. And it does suck, it is suck. But if you say something is hell yes, that's gonna happen. Of course, it's already happened. That's the coolest thing in the world. This is easy and effortless and fun. Then so it is easy and effortless and fun. We decide with our words what we're going to believe. That's where it starts, is what you say. So that's why I'm a hell yes person.
Hell yes. And
hell yes.
So many women in particular, but people in general, and women were nurturers and healers and caregivers, and we don't always put ourselves first. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we get a lot of negative thinking and looping thoughts, right? And so with your power of hell yes, this is when change happens.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to say hell yes. Let's go back a second, because especially right now, it's hard to say hell yes. You may be listening to this and be like, sure, Jen, it's easy for you to say hell yes, but like, this is what's going on in my life and I can't say hell yes. And sometimes, it's hard. And like, I have a hard time sometimes. Like, we're humans and we have feelings, just like you guys know. Emotions, shit happens in life. And like, it's really important. And Dr. Rowe, you'll probably say this, like, scream it louder than anybody else. You got to feel your feelings. Because if you feel your feelings, then they turn into something much, much, much worse, right? And so you got to experience that. You got to feel that. But the power comes in from feeling the feelings and understanding that, like, okay, I didn't die. I felt the feelings and I was okay. and then coming out the other side and making the choice. It's an active choice to have the mindset of hell yes. So it's not like pushing away the feelings and saying that doesn't exist, I'm fine, yay, you know, like positive mindset, and like not really believing it. It's like, all right, this sucks. I'm gonna feel the suck for a little bit. I'm gonna feel it, and I'm gonna be in it, and then I'm gonna get through it, and then I'm gonna be like, good job, Jen, you got through it. Now make the choice and say, okay, I'm gonna make a choice to, I don't have the control over what's going on around me, but I do have control over how I talk about it, how I think about it, how I react to it, and the actions that I take. So that's just what I try to do every day. Like, I'm not perfect, but I try to make that choice every day after feeling the feelings if I need to.
I love that, Jen. Tell us about how you stay as a mindset person who's teaching this. How do you stay connected to making that choice every day? Because when we are making a shift in our lives, and especially when it's early on and making a shift in the way that we think about things and the way we engage with our feelings, it's really effortful at first. It might become more habitual later, but how do you stay connected?
I love that question. That's really important because Chris and I, we say this thing all the time. I work really hard to make my life easy because it's not easy, and it's all the time to have a good mindset. You have to wake up every day, just like going to the gym. You have to work it out every day, and it doesn't necessarily feel comfortable every day. I don't necessarily want to do the stuff that makes me feel good, actually. You know, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to journal today. I don't want to meditate. I've got too much to do. Or like, I don't feel like doing the things that I know that work. It's funny, like for me, or I don't know, do you guys ever experience this? Like sometimes you'll do something that works and like you're doing it and it works, and then for some reason you stop doing it.
Of course.
Why? Why do we do that?
Or I'm like, oh my God, how could I have gone a week or 2 weeks without meditating? I cannot go a day without this. And then I go without it again, right? It's so true. I think you said something so important that I really want to highlight for our mamas and mamas to be, which is we don't always choose the thing that makes us feel good. And that's kind of a shocking realization. But if you think about it, we all do that. Can you talk a little bit about the mindset that's behind not choosing the thing that makes us feel good in the moment, and the mindset behind this choosing the thing that makes us feel good?
Yes. So it kind of ties into your last question, because like working really hard to make yourself, so you got to get up and you got to make the active choice to do the tools that you've learned or study those tools to make you have a better mindset each day. It doesn't just like, you don't just fix it and then you've got an amazing mindset for the rest of your life. I wish it were that way. But every single day I have to get up and I have to make sure that I do these things, that I move my body, that I meditate, and that I do a gratitude list. And if I do anything extra, that's extra. But those three things are non-negotiable. But sometimes, for some weird reason, there might be science behind this, Dr. Roseanne. You may need to like fill me in on the science, but it's a lot more comfortable sometimes to be sad and in fear than it is to be happy. Because I feel like, and so sometimes we actually subconsciously, or I know I do this, like I'll purposely, weirdly in my subconscious mind, like not do the thing that makes me feel good, or not do the thing that'll make me move forward to kind of keep me stuck. But I think that comes from fear of trying and it not working out. If you don't put yourself out there, if you don't try to have a great mindset and try to manifest your dreams, then you can't fail. So if we stay in a bad place, if we stay in that negative space, if we don't do the things that work, then we're safe, right? And our brain wants to keep us safe. So I think that's why a lot of people make the choice to stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to risk failing if they try.
They don't have to risk failing, and they also don't have to risk succeeding, which sometimes can be even more scary for people. And it is true that we tend to choose the things that are familiar and comfortable, even when they're a lot less ideal than the new thing that's in front of us. That is so incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And you're right, it is It's no different than our physical muscles. We have to work those mindset muscles every single day, or they're not as strong. And that's the bottom line. I love that.
And that, it's true. Why do people make these choices? So we know that 70% of all decisions are fear-based, and that people make decisions to avoid things. So, the notion, people think, of course I want success. Well, success or positive change comes with a whole new set of behaviors. And that could be at a subconscious level, something we're afraid of. So when we work on what we can control in that moment, and we take those small steps, the bigger leaps are a lot easier. And I think, you had said, no matter what your circumstances, and who hasn't, who's listening or watching, been in a circumstance that they knew sucked, but they had to get through it, right? For whatever reason. And some of us, it's much more serious than that, right? Like we were in a job and it was really awful, but we needed it because blah, 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 or whatever. And we could control what we were doing in that moment and how we felt about it, so that situation didn't envelop us. But, a lot of people make decisions because we inherit sort of familial behavioral patterns. And so, how we parent, how we make decisions about what we eat, and sort of what we decide to pass down as cultural values and to our family, our children, or carry within ourselves, they're all based on these things that we sort of carry with us. We don't have to live them, though. And that's the thing I think that is scary for people, right? But yet exciting, because I think in this time of our century, there's so many things going on, with Corona and COVID, but people are realizing that they can be in control of their health. They can be in control of their mindset. And it all starts with that moment. And I think that was one of the most significant things that you said, Jen, because we all think about this big, big thing, but it starts with those little things. And that's where the power comes from.
Amen, sister.
I love it. And you touched on this a little bit, Dr. Roseanne, but because I'm such an epigenetics nerd, and that's all of what we teach in the fertility and pregnancy space and at the Fertility and Pregnancy Institute, I also need to just say that we pass down those patterns through our epigenome as well, which our children inherit, not just the genes that we have, but the way our genes express themselves and the quality of our genes. And that includes passing down fears. There was a study that showed that if you introduce a cherry blossom scent in an animal model, and then you shock the animal, the pups and grandpups of those animals have the same fear response to the cherry blossom scent, even without ever having experienced the shock. Wow. That's how powerful, and obviously that's an animal model, but we're animals too. That's how powerful the intergenerational transmission of our fears and our family legacies are. So I just want to point that out as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Right. And so the flip side, even though we know trauma can be intergenerational and at a cellular level, the flip side is, when you carry this positivism, when you speak the power of what could be all the time out loud, this is what you pass on to your children.
100%. Intergenerational bliss. That's what we call it at the Fertility Pregnancy Institute. Like, let's flip intergenerational trauma and pass down intergenerational bliss. And you so deliberately do that every day in your life, Jen, you and Chris together as a couple in your life and in your company. What is the mindset that was required to grow your company? So how old is Super Connector at this point?
It's a little over 2 years. I mean,
that's incredible.
Yeah, not even. I know. It's so fun. I love that question because it's so perfect with this conversation, because we're in these big time masterminds where we sit around, we talk to huge entrepreneurs, and everybody talks about what moved the needle for them, or what the biggest win was for the month of, like, Was it marketing or was it something fancy or whatever? And we always find ourselves saying the thing that brought us to where we are is mindset and manifestation. Mm-hmm. Chris and I, Amen. From the very beginning, built our company based on manifesting it. We would go for long walks and we would just visualize what we wanted to create and who we wanted to bring in and what we wanted to do and what the big vision looked like. And we would talk about it as if it already happened. We would be like, I'm so excited that we did this and this and this, and it went so great, it was perfect, and we made this much money, and we brought on this person, and we changed this person's life, and our clients are doing this and this and this. And we would do that before every event. Before every Unfair Advantage Live, our ritual was to go on a walk and talk through each day 1 minute at a time before it happened, as if it already happened.
I love it.
So, when you do that, you basically, our subconscious doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a fake one.
Right.
So we're planting that memory in our brain that it already happened beautifully and amazingly. So a lot of the fears that would keep you from going above and beyond in an event or in your business, those fears, they go away when you plant the memory that it already happened and it was easy and fun and great. So that's how I feel manifestation really works, is it makes the action steps, Dr. Rowe, that you were talking about, the little steps that make the wins. It makes them easier because you're not as afraid because you already created the memory. It already happened. It already exists. So it's like, no big deal. I can do that. No big deal.
I love that so much. That's really, really powerful. I mean, that's a game changer for people because not everybody has access to these huge marketing budgets, but everybody has access to mindset and manifestation. But I want you to speak to a question that I think someone will have when listening to this, which is, do we all have equal access to mindset and manifestation?
100%. Because we all have a brain and a heart and a body. And I really feel like that is all you need. That is all you need. And we all have an imagination and we all have dreams. But I think what people need to do first, before they can start manifesting, we're manifesting all the time. Whether we're manifesting things that we want or things that we don't want, we're always calling everything into our life. We need to be very careful on the words that we choose to say and the thoughts that we decide to think, because like attracts like, and in science, we're energy, we're vibrating at a frequency, and we're going to be attracting, the law of attraction will say, anything that we put out, we're going to bring back in. So you want to get really, really clear on what it is that you want and what it is that you don't want. But let's get clear on what you want first. And that's hard for some people. Some people are like, I don't know what the hell I want, and that's okay. But if you can start doing that work and start really listening, because sometimes the vision for a lot of people, and this was me for a long time, the vision that I had created for myself, it didn't feel right because it wasn't my vision. It was what somebody else wanted for me.
So true.
It was not mine. So I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel the gratitude for it. I couldn't really visualize it because it was like not mine. So when you're creating that vision, allow yourself to really go there. And you're gonna feel, I feel like the real vision, the real true want feels scary when it comes into your mind. It feels scary, like you don't wanna write it down. You don't wanna even think about it. You're like, nope, that's not it, it's something else. But that scary thing, that's usually it. And then go there and get really clear on what it is that you want. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What do you feel like as a person living that life? Do you feel different? Do you stand taller? Do you, have more moments of laughter and excitement? It's really about feeling, training your body to feel that way. And then once you have that clear vision, then you can really start taking the action steps and manifesting what it is that you want. But you got to get clear first. That's the first step.
And you brought up so many things that I'm like, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Praise things, Dr. Cleopatra.
So true.
I think there's a couple things that, all three of us are very powerful manifestors. Yeah. Right. And we're all attracted to each other because we're all super lovey and powerful and just really kind-hearted human beings, which is awesome because we're all vibrationally, at the same level. So, but I think what people don't realize is how intentful you have to be in figuring out, what is it that you want, right? Like, it's not like, I always joke that you can't say, oh, I want to win lotto. That's just silly. You know what I mean? Okay, you can't win it if you don't play, so go and play. But, what is it? Oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to have a little business doing this. I want to work 20 hours. I don't know, whatever it is. I want to sing in the choir. I mean, there's just a variety of things. It doesn't have to have money attached to it. It can be very personal. But you have to invest that time being purposely intentful about visualizing it, I think is important. And then the other thing that you said is so many women are led from an early age to have an idea put upon them and what they should do. And I think, as, women, as mothers, as we're raising daughters and even sons to be husbands, right, to daughters, we need to really empower people to find their own way and also to connect with their intuition and connect with that inner voice. Yes, we want our kids to be financially responsible and not have to worry or whatever, but it's ultimately a parent wants their child to be happy.
That's right.
That starts from within. And when that happens, things fall into place. Yeah. So, you talk a little bit about your practices of what you do, and they're so wide of the things people can do to kind of hone that and tune in. What are some things that you recommend for women?
Yeah. Great question.
Simple action steps, easy things that are easy to do, that are really like, oh, I can go do this tonight. So I'm all about that. Like, let's just like one action step leads to a win, which leads to motivation, which leads to momentum. So then you can start rocking and rolling and really diving in deep. But one thing that I love for everybody to do when they first start figuring out what it is they want, like in order to figure that out, is do a perfect day exercise. And what that is, when you're alone and you're clear and you're not around your kids or your husband or any other, people that are just like putting their 2 cents into your brain, you are in your zone, like just you. Sit down and envision what a perfect day would look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. If a magical fairy came and tapped you on the head and said you could have absolutely anything that you want, what does that day look like for you? It's like a Wednesday, like a regular day, not like a vacation day, a regular Wednesday. Where are you waking up? Who are you waking up next to? What are you eating for breakfast? What are you doing for your exercise? Are you exercising? What are you doing for your job? Where are you going to work? Like, what's happening in your life, minute by minute by minute, and really allow yourself to play. Don't put any boundaries on it. Whatever comes up first, do stream of conscious, just go. I wake up, I do this, I do that, whatever comes out first. And it doesn't matter, don't judge it. If it's like totally out of this world, who cares? Put it on the paper, because those are clues as to what you want. And then when you get a real handle on like, okay, that's my perfect day. When you start to make decisions in your life, like I always go back to that perfect day. So sometimes I don't know, oh my God, should I do this or not? Like, should I go down this path in business or should I not? Or should I take this opportunity? I always go back to, does this align with my perfect day? Would I be doing this on my perfect day, or would this lead me to my perfect day? Nope. Okay, not doing that. I can happily say no. Or yes, amazing, I'm all in. So that perfect day exercise helps with making decisions, and it also helps get you clear on what you want and what you don't want, because you may think, I want to win the lottery, okay? Like that might be the first thing, but then when you do your meditation and you're in your perfect day, and there's no lottery situation, like you made your money by doing something fantastic or writing a book or speaking on stages or becoming a doctor or whatever you decide to do, you're like, oh wait, I don't need to win the lottery. I'm gonna do this. So that's my number one tip to start.
I love that so much. What do you say to people who fall into that restriction of not being able to dream really big in their perfect day? And I think that this is something that we're taught from a very young age, be realistic. But those of us who really excel and stand out in what we do, often were not led by being realistic. We really thought outside of the box. So how do you help people to get out of the box?
Well, the term be realistic is a fearful term.
Mm-hmm.
That's a term that I feel like a lot of our parents, not knowing, said to us to keep us safe.
Yes.
Us in a box because they were scared. They wanted the best for us. They didn't mean to say it in a bad way. You know, like my family, I have amazing parents. They always wanted the very best for me. But they would say, like, you know, you need to have a backup plan if you want to be an actress, and be realistic, and don't, you know, they would just want you to be safe. It's a fearful term. So if you understand that being realistic really comes from fear, and we actually can create absolutely anything that we want. We really can. And some people may say, like, that's bullshit, Jen. I've got 5 kids. I'm a single mom and I can't create everything that I want. Like, you know, whatever. It's been done. And we know that we are more powerful than we can even imagine. Or maybe we don't know that. But here are some examples that show us how powerful we are. Think back. I like to think about everything that I've done in my life that has brought me to here. And every single time in my life where I thought my life was over. And I think we've all had moments like this, where we're like bathroom floor moments, like this is the worst thing ever. Or even giving birth. This is a good example, when it's the most painful thing you've ever experienced in your life and you feel like, oh my God, I'm never gonna get through this. This is so freaking painful. I've never done it, but I've heard this before.
I was gonna say, that's a really great description. Yeah, I think that's a very authentic description.
It's so freaking painful. Even like the whole fertility process, I'm sure for so many women, is very emotionally painful, physically painful. You feel like you're never going to get through it. But then you always get to the other side and you have this beautiful baby and you look back and you're like, oh my God, I did that. Thank God I had all that pain. Thank God. So whenever we look back and think about the things that we've done before, which we don't do enough, we need to do that. That reminds us what we're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to be realistic, because nothing realistic is not a real word. It's just fear. So dream big. Anything is possible. Absolutely anything. We know, like, if you really wanted to eat a sandwich right now, if you're like, Jen, I'm so freaking hungry, I'm gonna die, I need to go, you would go do anything that you could to go get that sandwich. It's not wanting it bad enough, right? You know that. If there's a dress on sale, I'm telling you, and that sale ends at midnight, I am going to do whatever I can. If I really want that dress, I will, this is the dumbest analogy, but I will jump through freaking hoops to make sure I get that dress on sale.
That is so funny.
So why, if we say we want a business more than anything, or we say we want to write a best-selling book more than anything in the world, or we say we want to, you know, go to the Olympics, or whatever we want to do, the only reason that we don't do it is because we don't want it bad enough.
That's some hard truth serum in some situations. And I think it's a very powerful understanding for us that when we continue and we don't give up, our success is almost inevitable.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, guys, I haven't achieved everything that I want, not even close. So it means, like, I don't want it bad enough. And, like, that's okay. But if
not yet anyway, right?
What?
I said not yet anyway. Maybe you don't want it bad enough yet. Maybe that's coming. Yeah.
Right. And, like, the easiest thing to do, though, I think it can feel really overwhelming if you think about the big vision too much. You know, if you're like, oh my God, I could never do that right now. So go back to taking the tiny action steps. So it's about thinking about the perfect day, thinking about the big vision, dreaming about it, visualizing it, and then throwing it out the window and focusing on one little teeny tiny thing that you can do today that could probably get you there.
I love that so much. And I'm taking the truth serum, thinking about my own book that is a little bit delayed coming out, and working really hard to get out in 2021. So thank you for that.
It's already happened, Cleopatra.
It's already done, all 560 pages of it. The fertility Bible is on its way.
Oh my God. That is such a hell yes, that book.
Yeah, it is a hell yes. It's a game changer completely. Yeah.
Write one paragraph a day and you'll finish it way faster than thinking about all the pages that you need to write one day.
Oh no, she has written 560
pages. All written, girl. It was 590. We've gotten it down to 560.
So. The world needs that book.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Just the reminder that I haven't clearly I haven't wanted it bad enough if it's not
Yeah.
out there yet. But I do now.
But Mary Morrissey always says, hold the vision, not the circumstance. So always hold your vision, and things will change along the way. But if you always say, this is my vision, these may be the different paths, it just, you allow yourself the time to get there, but you don't give up on it. You don't say, oh, well, this didn't work out, so I'm not going to do it. You're like, well, how else can I get there? What are those little steps that I need to be, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Hold the vision, let go of the circumstance.
Not the circumstance, right? Yeah. So, little things have, and especially, like you said, being a single mom, like people don't expect to get divorced, right? And some people don't expect to get, pregnant or laid off or whatever it is. So how do you pivot? How do you change gears and hold on to whatever vision that you have for yourself? Mm-hmm. And when you have a positive mindset, to me, it's like a stress inoculator. It's not to say that you don't ever experience stress, but it's never in the same way. You're like, okay, I still got my vision. This may have happened. So what else should I need to do? Like, I just don't look at things in the same way. I never have.
And if you look at it all the things that happen as gifts, and it's not always easy to look at them as gifts, but they are. They are, and whenever we look backwards at the biggest successes we've had in our lives, all of the messiest parts are always the ones we're most grateful for. I'm so grateful that I had that breakup, that I had that moment, that I had that I failed, because I needed to in order to get to where I am. So if we can remember in the moment that if, it's not working out as planned, it's supposed to not work out as planned. And each difficult time is a gift, because it teaches us that we can get through difficult times. So that makes us stronger. It makes us more confident. It makes us, it's the biggest form of growth ever. When we deal with things like confidence comes from being willing to get through discomfort. That's where it comes from, because on the other end, it's like, oh, I can do anything. I can get through that.
Absolutely.
So bring on the failure. It sucks. It sucks, right?
It sucks, but it's amazing.
Time never stops. Nothing is ever permanent. And if you can remember that when you're in it, nothing is ever permanent, and I will be better on the other end, and this is a gift. Or what Oprah says, nothing is ever wasted. Nothing is ever wasted.
No. And she's such a, Cleopatra and I met Oprah, and we got to spend time with her. But anyway, what a testament to, she's had the worst things in her life ever happen to her. And, she's just an amazing gift to humanity. But it is true. When you're in the thick of it and it's bad, and you should experience all those feelings. But then you have to say, what is my lesson? I'm always like, what is Jesus teaching me? What is the higher power teaching me? And because that's what works for me. And I listen for the message, and I'm like, that's not going to happen again, or I need to do this. Whatever it is, there's always a message, as hard as the road is. And I think that's so important that you bring that up, Jen, because it doesn't always feel like that. It sucks.
No. When you're in it, you're like, I remember one of my rock bottom moment. I woke up every single day for a month and wrote in my journal, one day I will know why this happened. I had to write it over and over again. One day I will know why this happened. But it did not feel like one day I would know. It felt like this fucking sucks. And excuse me if I can't curse on this, but it really felt horrible every day. But now I tell that story on stages. And now I'm like, I know now. And it feels so much better than it hurt.
It feels so much better than it hurt. Woo, I like that. That's really beautiful.
So if we can remember that in the moment, if we can just try to, and I love when I'm having a hard time, I actually go through my past journals. I'll take out old notebooks and I'll read where I was, at certain times in my life and how I got through them and where I am now. And it always knocks me back into perspective. Always reminds me of the dots connecting. Always reminds me that everything is a gift. So that's a really great tool to use. If you journal, pull out the old ones when you're going through a hard time and look and see how much you've grown since years before. It's really cool.
I love that. I do the same thing.
When did you start a gratitude practice? Did it evolve? When did that begin for you?
Really good question, and I really wish I knew the answer exactly.
Yeah.
But I started diving into personal development when right after that rock bottom moment that I had when I was in this relationship with this hedge fund trader guy, and you know, I thought I was going to marry him, but I was living completely out of alignment. I was like, I was not who I am today, and I knew it deep in my soul, but I wouldn't leave him because I was too scared. I had this perfect life, and then ended up like in 2.5 seconds found out he was cheating on me like the whole time. He gave me 5 days to move out of our $1 million beautiful apartment, and I went from that life to living in a teeny tiny room in like an apartment with 6 other actors with a window that faced a wall. And my show had gotten canceled I was on this TV show, got canceled in like the same week. And I was like, oh my God, I have to start my life over from scratch. And I started just discovering personal development, like doing everything that I possibly could to learn how to be happy at that time. That's when I was writing down, one day I'll know why this happened. I didn't know what else to do. I was in survival mode. And I learned about this thing called gratitude. And I was like, all right, I'll try. And I started writing a gratitude list. And that was the very first thing that I started doing, and it started to change my life. Just that one little tiny thing, because it's impossible to be anxious, scared, fearful, and grateful at the same time. It's impossible. So it made me really snap into, you know, looking at things that were good instead of things that were bad. And then that morphed into, you know, the future gratitude list, which I really truly feel manifested my entire life that I have now. Because I look back, talk about looking at old journals. So future gratitude list, for those of you listening and you're like, what the hell is she talking about? Is writing about things that have not yet happened that you want to happen as if they've already happened. So, you know, this morning I said, I'm so grateful that my podcast with Dr. Cleopatra was amazing. We had so much fun. You know,
and so much fun.
Years before, every morning I would wake up and I would say, I'm so grateful I met the love of my life today. And I wrote it every single day, because I was looking for the love of my life. And then like the day I met Chris, I have the journal entry, the day I met Chris. And it says, I'm so great. It's so funny because I didn't know Chris was the love of my life. So it said, I'm so grateful I met the love of my life today. I'm so grateful I met Chris Winfield today. Like, I just thought Chris Winfield was but
that's so beautiful. I love that. And I love how you said, what is this gratitude thing? Okay, I'll try. You know, just being willing to try, not necessarily knowing if it's going to work, but being willing to reserve judgment for a moment just to see if it can help you. And I love that so much. We actually do this in the Primester protocol for our babies, and it's just really powerful. I love it. So beautiful.
Well, you have one of my all-time favorite quotes, Jen, that you're going to be, I don't know if you know that it's one of my all-time favorite quotes, but you said it, and I like have written it on social media, and I'm like, this is one of my favorite quotes. There's no room for fear when you have gratitude in your heart.
Yes.
That is a quote that came from you. Right. There's no room for fear when you have gratitude in your heart.
Yes.
That came from you. You said that to me one time, and I was like, that is like profound. and it, how true is that, right? If you're just grateful and you have a lot of love, it's really hard to operate from fear, you know? And I just think that's just, we can do that. We can control that. And we all can think for a moment of people we know that sort of live that life, right? Whether it's, you know, somebody from church or hopefully in your family. And but we can embody that, and we can start, right? And maybe it is just 3, you know, every morning, 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the night or whatever it is. And that's where it can start. And those little, that daily piece, as you said, that's what starts to change everything in your thinking, your cells, and you get to see what happens in your life when you have a lot of gratefulness and positive thinking, and you talk out loud like that to yourself and to others. It's just energetically things shift around you.
100%.
And you're such a perfect example of that, Jen. Such a perfect example of that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. You know, and just to say, like I love what you said, Cleopatra. Like, you don't have to fully like believe it or do it all out right away. Like there's people watching that are like, I can't even imagine thinking positively right now. Like there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, but we're human beings and we don't ever believe in anything 100%. We may feel like we do, but there's always going to be that little 1% that we don't, and that's okay. So what I say to people and constantly say to myself is you only have to believe a little bit more than you don't to take action. You don't have to believe 100%.
So
just
good.
a little bit more. Just a little. Like I didn't believe 100% in the law of attraction and manifestation when I was first learning it. I was like, this is BS. But I was a little curious and I believed it a little enough to take one step, like writing a gratitude list or visualizing, one thing, right? And then seeing it work. And then it's like, okay, maybe I believe it a little more now.
I love that.
Believe it full out. Just try. Just one little thing. 51%.
So great. So good.
51%. 100. That's so true. And that's, I think, so helpful for people because we do always feel like, it has to be perfect or it has to be exactly, 100%. It doesn't have to be. And it will start moving 52, 53%, and then it just, that mindset is, so many people struggle with mindset. And what's been surprising to me is, we all know a lot of powerful people, famous people, and sometimes they more than anybody struggle with their mindset. And it's the one thing you really are in control over. And so that's where it has to start,
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jen, and for teaching us these amazing nuggets about mindset. It's been so fun to have you here with us, and we'd love to have you back anytime.
This was so fun, you guys. It was exactly what I manifested this morning.
I'm so glad. This was so great. Mamas, thank you so much for being here with us today. As always, we will see you back on the Parents Coffee Talk very soon.